Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. My name is Katelyn Brazer Aceves, and I proudly serve as the president of the SAUSD Board of Trustees. It is an honor to stand with our community to support legislation that would designate April 14th as Sylvia Mendez Day here in California. It is a recognition of courage, of community, and of a defining moment in our nation's history. Nearly 80 years ago, right here in Orange County, a group of families stood up against the injustice of segregated schools. In the landmark case of Mendez v. Westminster, they challenged a system that separated Mexican-American children under the false promise of separate but equal. And they won. That victory was one of the first major legal decisions in the United States to strike down school segregation. It helped lay the legal and moral foundation for Brown v. Board of Education, changing the course of public education across the nation. At Santa Ana Unified, this history is not distant. It is deeply local. That is why our district is especially proud to have been among the first public agencies to formally honor this legacy. More than 2 decades ago, we named the Gonzalo and Felicitas Mendez Fundamental Intermediate School, ensuring that generations of students would learn about our local history toward desegregation. Declaring April 14th as Sylvia Mendez Day is a natural and necessary step forward. It ensures that students across California understand that the fight for educational equity was led by courageous families right here in our state. And I have to say, it's a beautiful morning getting to see our amazing students meet with Ms. Mendez. So I'm so excited for our students. And thank you, Ms. Mendez, for being here, Mrs. Mendez, for being here to really share your family's history and our community's history with our students. Thank you. Thank you. This also reminds us that progress is not inevitable. It is driven by parents, by our students, by communities who are willing to stand up and demand justice. On behalf of Santa Ana Unified, I want to thank our community partners. I want to thank my colleague, Ms. Valerie Magdaleno, board trustee, and for being here this morning, our staff, our principal, our students, and our staff who made this event possible and do the work day in and day out here at Mendez Fundamental. And we are proud to stand with all of our partners here today. Thank you for joining us here in Santa Ana Unified. Let us honor Sylvia Mendez not only with a day, but with our continued action so that the promise of equity in education is realized for every student in every classroom across California. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to welcome up Principal Moreno.
Good morning and welcome to Mendez Fundamental. I stand in front of you as a product of the school district. Went through kindergarten all through high school and then eventually went to a university. And so when they ask me how long I've been in Santa Ana Unified, I tell them 38 years. I never left. I was a product of this district. I started working as soon as I got out of high school. I started working in the school district as an avid tutor. And so to be able to stand here in front of you is a success story, but it really is it's an example of the product that Santa Ana Unified can produce. I stand here on the sacrifices of my parents, both immigrant parents that came to this country, on the sacrifice of my family, my community, and of course, of the great work that the Mendez family did for our community to desegregate schools. And so it's a privilege and an honor to stand in front of all of you and also to recognize Sylvia, who's been a great partner and ally to Mendez Fundamental. We have our annual visits, and she's also she makes it a point to try to make it to our promotion ceremonies, which is just that nice little touch to our students to recognize the history of our school, but also to recognize that we're launching them on to the next step. So once again, welcome to Mendez. Sylvia, congratulations on this achievement and on this recognition. And I'm just very proud to be able to say that I am the principal here at Mendez Fundamental. So thank you and welcome.
Hello, everyone. I am Assemblyman Tri Ta. I'm so honored to be here. And we're here to remind Californians that immigrant families continue to shape the narrative in this state. And for the better, to understand why we are here, we have to go back for a time when equal opportunity in California classroom was not guaranteed, when families were told directly or indirectly that their children did not belong. And let's be clear about what that means. The children were being told the future had limits before it had even begun. In the 1940s, here in this county, like with Orange Grove, a young girl named Sylvia Mendez and her family confront that reality. They were denied access to better resource school, separated into classrooms that send a clear message: you're not equal. But the Mendez family refused to accept that. They did not wait for a change, they make it happen. What began as a fight for their daughter placed in the last room became Mendez versus Westminster, a case that reshaped education in California and helped lay the foundation for civil rights progress across the country. It affirmed a very simple but powerful truth: no child should be told that they don't belong. That moment really changed the direction of our state, but the story was not fully taught, not fully understood, not fully recognized. California began to correct by including this case our school curriculum, and I'm very proud to help to lead that effort. Understanding the law is important, but understanding the people behind it is make history matter. And today, we could take the next step. AB 2294, we established April 14 as Sylvia Mendez Day. Not just to remember the case, but to honor people who make it possible and the moment they represent. Sylvia Mendez's story gives history a human face. She was a child at the center of the case, and that really changed the future of education in California. Her courage and her family's strong determination did more than changing a policy. It expanded access to education for generations. That demonstrates something we cannot forget: that progress is inevitable. It is earned by people willing to stand up when systems fall short. As an immigrant, I recognize the same strong commitment and strong determination in my own story. My family came to this country with a really simple belief: the hard work and the challenge we all have to face, but at the end of the day, if we're willing to work hard, we're going to achieve our goal. Because immigrant families continue to shape the state every single day. They build the communities, they power our economy, and their impact is everywhere: in our classroom, in our workforce, and in our small businesses, and even in the public service. And that is why this moment matters. Because at a time when legacy of the leader in agricultural community is being debated and questioned, we should be clear about this. No single moment defines a community whose contribution span generations. California Latino have helped build the state with work, with sacrifice, and with a strong commitment in education. and I really appreciate about their contribution. The outcome of Mendez versus Westminster did more than reserve a single injustice. It expanded opportunity. It reshaped a system, and it set a standard which are still responsible for upholding today. That is what the bill does. It ensures that this story is not left to memory alone. It affirms that the story we choose to elevate will shape the future that we build for our future generation. Because in the end, California's future will be defined for what we choose to teach and whether we remain committed to a simple truth. No child should be turned away. No child should be told that they don't belong. And no child's future should be decided before it even begins. So today we honor Sylvia Mendez. We honor the families who stood up when it mattered most. And we recommitted ourselves to building California that reflects this legacy in our classroom, in our community, and the opportunities we have to create for the future generation. Thank you so much. And now it's my great honor to introduce to you all our civil rights icon, Sylvia Mendez.
Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm so honored and happy to be here in this school today. School that's named after my mother and father, Gonzalo and Felicitas Mendez. And here I have my family here with me today. I have Gonzalo Mendez's daughter. Stand up, Jeannie. He is unable to come. I have my daughter, Renee. My brother, Jerome, Jeronimo, I used to call him Jeronimo, Jerry, daughter, Johanna. I have my sister, who has been my companion everywhere I go and has gone with me all over the United States speaking about Mendez and has helped me with a speech today. Sandra. And my cousin, from my cousin Clemente Mendez here. So thank you. I am so honored to be here today. I would like to thank Assemblyman Tri Ta and his amazing staff here and in Sacramento. Without all of their effort, we would not have the case in the curriculum, in the California curriculum. He is the one that championed it, also with Amber. Although I am so humbled by this honor, I continue to remind everyone that this story is not about me. It's about my father, Gonzalo, and Felicitas Mendez, who started this that day when we were returned from that school and was told to go to the Mexican school. And my father said, no, I'm not going to take him there. And eventually, he hired the lawyer, Marcus, that fought the case. So it's all about my parents, who had the courage to file the lawsuit at the time when many students were not going to school. In 1993. I retired to take care of my mother. I was a nurse for 33 years. And she said to me, Sylvia, nadie sabe de este caso. Somebody has to go around and talk about it. Especially since the fight cost so much financially, physically, and emotionally. She would say, This is California history, Sylvia. Eventually she asked me, she said, Sylvia, you have to go out there and start talking about it. I said, Mom, I am not a speaker, I am a nurse. I say, turn around, I'm gonna give you a shot. I can't do this. Of course you can, Sylvia. You can do anything. And with little help, I drafted a letter offering to go to any school in California, and I would talk about history of California. And it was Garden Grove High School, a teacher there that invited me and said, Sylvia, come and talk about it. I was so scared. I thought my legs were made out of rubber because I felt I want to drop any minute in front of those students. And the student said, Sylvia, don't be scared, just tell us a story. And I remember telling those students, you have to tell me what I did wrong. Just write it down on a piece of paper. And I still have that little pieces of paper that told me exactly what to do. They say, next time, bring a picture of the school that you were turned away. Bring a picture of your parents. And they were the ones that told me exactly what to do. And I love students. Since that day, I fell in love with students, and I knew that I would be there for them whenever they needed me. I was so nervous and so scared talking that day. At that time, Latinos dropout was very great. And I wanted the students to know that someone had fought for them and had the right for them to go to any school they wanted to. I have since spoken at hundreds of schools across the country about this case. And at one time, I found this lady, Maria Salas. She was a senator in San Diego, and she brought it to the state board, to the White House here in California. And it passed bipartisan. I saw all the lights go on. And it ended up on Schwarzenegger's desk, and he would not sign it. So I said, I have to continue. We have to continue. And then we found our saint. There he is, right here. And he brought it to the state. And it was a bipartisan, a Republican and a Democrat, Humberg. The two of them together, they brought it to the White House. And it passed. I am so grateful for what they have done. So I continue to talk to people and letting them know about this case and how we fought and how we won. And I will continue to speak as long as I can. I'm gonna be 90 in a couple months. And as long as I'm able to stand up, I will continue to tell the story because I am so proud of everybody that helped. And it wasn't just one person, but it was a whole community that have helped me along the way. So thank you very much, and thank you all, because I know that you are all helping students right now, and that has become my priority. Because when I started going out speaking about Mendez, I found out that we were more segregated now than we were in 1975 by de facto segregation. But that does not mean that our students cannot continue to go to whatever school they want, but they have to have the encouragement, somebody to encourage them to continue. And that's why I'm so happy to be in a school with educators and politicians that will make sure that our students will continue to enjoy this wonderful country of ours, the United States of America, where they can become anything they want. Astronauts like we saw yesterday, or President of the United States. Thank you so much for having me.
Tough words to follow, right? Sylvia's story always inspires us, and now it's my privilege also to introduce somebody else who's also been a champion of our community, not just locally, but also nationally. And so I'd like to introduce our Congressman Luis Correa.
Thank you very much, Principal Moreno, su congresista Luis Correa. I'm proud to say that my daughter was a student here at Mendez Intermediate. And Sylvia, if I may call you Sylvia, you're a very hard act to follow. A little nervous, but I'll do the best I can. We live in the greatest country in the world. And we got to step back a little bit to think about history. 1945. Little girl, Sylvia, 9 years old, when your brother was denied entrance, Westminster Elementary School. Imagine 1945. Veterans coming back from World War II. Segregated schools. Segregated neighborhoods here in Santa Ana, here in Orange County. La Conga in Anaheim. Delhi, Santa Ana. Barrio Logan in Santa Ana. And if you get a chance, I'd welcome you to visit Barrio Logan, where there's a little store with the pictures of World War II veterans on the side. A Latino, Hispanic, Mexican community showing how proud they are that their sons and daughters went to fight for this great country. And then they came back to segregation. God bless America. And God give us the strength to continue to fight, to make sure that this is a better country than it was yesterday. Sylvia, your family did a very brave thing. God bless you and your family. You changed the history of this country. And of course, if Westminster would have appealed this to the Supreme Court, it would have been Mendez and not Brown. That would have been the Supreme Court decision that would have made history in this country. We live history. We remember history so it can make America a better place. I'm in Congress right now. We're fighting all kinds of fights. 2 weeks ago, I was in Tijuana, Mexico, visiting a deported father whose daughter is now serving in the Persian Gulf, member of our Navy, weapons specialist, highly decorated. Her father deported. And all of us know the story of the Barranco family. Mr. Barranco, who gave birth to 3 U.S. Marines. You know, we write stories, we make movies out of families like the Barranco, an undocumented coming to America, whose 3 children served with honor, are serving with honor in this great country. Let's not forget where we came from, our history, and that there's still a lot more left to be done before we can get there. And Tri Ta, muchas gracias. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Arnold wouldn't sign that legislation. The greatest immigrant, Mr. Universe 9 times, and he forgot about his roots. Have a little certificate here to that 9-year-old little girl who was there when her siblings were told, you can't come here to school. Muchas gracias, Sylvia. Principal Moreno.
All right, and now I also have the privilege of introducing our California Assembly member, Kate Sanchez from the 71st District.
Good morning. I'm Assemblywoman Sanchez, representing parts of Orange County and Riverside County, as well as being here today on behalf of the California Legislative Hispanic Caucus. It is an honor to be here with you today. This story, this experience hits close to home. It happened right here in Orange County, and it helped shape not only California, but the future of civil rights in our country. Sylvia Mendez's family didn't set out to make history. They were a working family, parents who simply wanted what every parent wants for their child to be treated fairly, to have access to opportunity, and to have a real chance at a better future. But when a door was closed to their daughter and son, they didn't accept it. They fought back, not just for Sylvia, but for every child who would come thereafter. That fight began Mendez v. Westminster, a landmark case in school segregation in California, and its impact reached so far beyond our state. It came 7 years before Brown v. Board of Education. It helped lay the legal foundation for ending segregation across the United States. And even Thurgood Marshall and the NAACP recognized its importance, filing a brief that would later help shape arguments used in Brown. But at its core, it wasn't just a legal case. It was a family standing up for their child. And that kind of courage, quiet, determined, and rooted in love, is something every parent understands. That's why this experience still matters today. This fight still matters today. Because it reminds us that progress doesn't come from government alone. It comes from the people who are willing to stand up and say, this can and should be better. The California Hispanic Legislative Caucus exists because of these stories. Because for generations, Hispanic families have had to fight for opportunities that others simply were given. And while we've made progress, the fight isn't over, it's just evolved. Today, it means making sure every child has the access to quality education. It means making sure families can afford to live, work, and raise their children in our communities that we love. And it means making sure that hard work still means opportunity, because you cannot build a future on an unequal foundation. That's what the Mendez family understood, and it's what we carry forward today. Mendez v. Westminster was one of the first major victories against school segregation in America, and it started right here in California. It is proof that when one family stands up, they can change the future for millions. And today, by supporting AB 2294, we are making sure that this story is remembered and recognized as a defining chapter in our state's pursuit of equality, so that future generations understand whose shoulders they stand on and what it looks like to get here. The California Legislative Hispanic Caucus is proud to stand with the Mendez family and with Assemblyman Tri Ta, and I am proud to continue the work of expanding opportunity for every family in California. Thank you.
All right, I wouldn't be a good principal if I know my students have been standing up here for a little while. So, students, we're gonna go ahead and let you take a break. So if you wanna go take a seat. Thank you. They are part of our student body here at Mendez. Our future leaders, this is our ASB, so we did have our president, vice president, so. And as always, is run by our girls. Our girls run the world. I'm a girl dad, so I get to say that. All right. It is now also my pleasure to introduce to you our District Director for the 68th Assembly District, Tina Arias Milla.
Thank you so much. Sorry, speak into the, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. The Assembly member was hoping to make it here himself to deliver this statement to you in person, but he couldn't. So, the Mendez versus Westminster case helped pave the way for Brown versus Board of Education and changed the course of civil rights history in America. 79 years ago, on April 14th, 1947, that decision was made. at a time when Latino children were being turned away from school doors simply because of who they were. Sylvia Mendez and her family refused to accept that. Her courage helped dismantle segregation in California and set a precedent for the entire nation. Thank you, Sylvia. And I, Assemblymember Valencia, want to thank Assemblymember Ta for elevating the importance of Mendez versus Westminster. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, and now I would like to welcome for some remarks for the Orange County Clerk-Recorder, Hugh Nguyen.
Good morning. Tree, I just want to say great job, my brother, for putting this bill together for Sylvia. Also, as a refugees, like Tree was saying, I came over 50 years ago as a Vietnamese American. And to see the fight that your family did is amazing. And we got to continue to share the history because people are going to forget, right? And so this bill is so important to carry that history on. And so I was telling Sylvia this morning, my son went here in 2002 when it was open in 2000. So I know this area well. And I went to school in Santa Ana my whole career, from McFadden to Saddleback. And so it's an honor to be here. And as the county clerk recorder, Sylvia, I'm in charge of the county archives. And so I would love to work with your family and put some of that story in our archives for the county forever. All right, so I'll have my staff, Martine, and work with you and your family. We have history of everything in Orange County back to 1889. So we want to continue that tradition. And thank you for having me here today. Sylvia, thank you. It's a great day for you and for your whole family. Congratulations. Thank you.
You're surrounded by products of SAUSD. One of our board members, Valerie Magdaleno, also came to Mendez and now serves on the school board for our school district. So we got you surrounded, but we'll take care of you. All right, now I would also like to introduce Fountain Valley Mayor Jim Cunneen.
Good morning. I am Fountain Valley Mayor Jim Cunneen, and I want to thank you all for being here to celebrate Sylvia Mendez. This story isn't just about the Mendez case and the fight for civil rights here in Orange County. For me, this issue is also deeply personal. I'm so happy to be here with members of the Mendez family that I am so blessed to have married into in 1993, including my beautiful bride, Mimi Mendez Cunneen. Being part of the Mendez family meant that I got a front row seat to the stories, the legacy, and the history that all took place in Westminster, Santa Ana, and the surrounding cities. In fact, it was in this very place 29 years ago that I joined my wife and her family to watch the groundbreaking ceremony for this amazing school site. It was then that I learned firsthand the story of the brave fight that was led by Felicitas and Gonzalo Mendez, who were the aunt and uncle of my father-in-law, Clemente Mendez Jr. May they all rest in peace. And other families who said that their children had an equal right to attend the same local schools as everyone else's kids. They said this is where educational discrimination in Orange County stops. I'm so grateful that their story and their struggle to fight injustice has finally begun to come to light. When students learn the story of Sylvia, her brothers, Geronimo and Junior, and together in solidarity with all the other brave plaintiff families, I know they will be inspired when they learn that just a few families can come together and write history. On behalf of my family, thank you all for being here, and thank you to Assemblyman Tri Ta for putting this together. And from the neighboring city of Fountain Valley, we have a little certificate of recognition, Sylvia, to give to you. So this says, the City of Fountain Valley recognizes your remarkable achievements and the positive impact since the landmark United States Supreme Court case Mendez v. Westminster. We are proud to celebrate with you the community and Assemblyman Tri Ta to recognize Sylvia Mendez Day, April 14th, as a state holiday.
All right, and now for some remarks from Westminster Council member Amy Phan West.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes. All right, thank you. I am Councilwoman Amy Phan West from the City of Westminster, which I will see you tomorrow, Sylvia Mendez. And it is truly an honor to stand here today as we celebrate Sylvia Mendez Day alongside Sylvia Mendez, and you are a national icon. And not only that, the Mendez family, thank you. And as your councilwoman in the City of Westminster, where this history took place, it makes this moment even more meaningful and deeply personal. And Sylvia's story is not just history, it is a powerful reminder of what courage, faith, and determination can accomplish. As a young girl, she became the face of the movement that challenged injustice and helped end school segregation in California through the landmark case Mendez versus Westminster. Because of her family's bravery, doors were open for a generation of children who now have the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed regardless of their background. And as an educator, I am very proud. And as a fellow daughter of immigrants, your story deeply resonates with me. It reminds us that the American dream is worth fighting for, and that even the smallest voice, when grounded in truth, can create lasting change. Today, we don't just celebrate history, Sylvia. We recommit ourselves to the value of fairness, opportunity, and unity. Sylvia, thank you for your courage. And to the Mendez family, thank you for your legacy. And I will continue to fight for your legacy as I put forth the Mendez way at Westminster High School. It was denied by the majority, but I will keep fighting for your legacy. Okay, I'm not gonna stop. And thank you, everyone. May God bless you all. Thank you.
I feel like I'm part of the family, Sylvia. So my last name is Moreno, and sometimes I get called Mr. Mendez. So if you're adopting a child, let me know. All right, remarks now by Michael Carter from the Tierney Center for Veteran Services.
Before I start, there's a tradition, me being a veteran, whenever you find somebody who inspires you or does something that, yes, exactly. Charlie, you stole my thunder. Never mind. I'd like to present you a challenge coin. So good morning. My name is Michael Carter, and I'm honored to be here today as both a veteran and a director of the Tierney Center for Veteran Services. This moment means a great deal to me because this history is not only important, for me it's also personal. I grew up in Santa Ana. My mother was born and raised in Mexico, and she came to the United States in search of opportunity. She came here believing that through hard work, sacrifice, and access to something better, her children could have a future greater than the one she had known. That belief lives in so many families, and for many of them, education is where that hope begins. This is why the story of Sylvia Mendez and the plaintiff families in Mendez versus Westminster matters so much. They did more than challenge an unfair practice. They stood up for the simple but powerful idea that every child deserves dignity, opportunity, and access to quality education. Their courage helped shape Californian history and became part of the largest story of civil rights in our nation. Long before many Americans learned about Brown versus the Board of Education, families here in Orange County stood up and said that children should not be separated or denied opportunity because of who they are. That took incredible courage from your family. It took courage to challenge a system that seemed bigger than them. It took courage to believe that change was possible. And it took courage to insist that education should be a path open to every child. As a veteran, that message speaks to me in a very direct way. When someone serves in uniform, they take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That oath reflects a commitment to the principles that define this country, including fairness, equality, and opportunity. One of the clearest pathways to opportunity is education. Veterans understand that these values are not meant to live only in speeches or on paper. They have to be reflected in our communities, in our institutions, and in the opportunities we make possible for the next generation. That is why this recognition matters. Recognizing Sylvia Mendez is about more than remembering a date. It is about remembering what her story teaches us. It is about making sure future generations know that the work of expanding opportunity often begins with ordinary families showing extraordinary courage. Let me speak right now. And that matters today. It matters for the student who needs to know that their background does not define their future. It matters for the child of immigrants who needs to know that their family belongs in the American story. And it matters for communities like the one I grew up, where so many parents came here carrying hope, sacrifice, and a deep belief in a better future for their children. In my work serving veterans, I see every day how life-changing opportunity can be. I see veterans working to rebuild, to support their families, and to pursue education and meaningful careers after service. I see how access, encouragement, and support can change the course of a life. That is why this history is not just about the past. It is also about the future we continue to shape through remembrance, education, and service. So today we honor Sylvia Mendez not only for what she represents in history, but for what her legacy continues to teach us. Her story reminds us that opportunity must be protected, access must be widened, and the courage of local families can leave a lasting mark on an entire nation. As a son of a Mexican immigrant, as a Marine veteran, and as someone who now serves those who serve this country, I am proud to stand and recognize the legacy of Sylvia Mendez and the plaintiff families. Their courage opened doors for generations they would never meet. Our responsibility is to make sure those doors never close again. Thank you.
All right, we continue with our program, and now it's my pleasure. Es un placer presentarles a la Cónsul de México, Inés Maxiara Baltazar Gutiérrez.
Thank you so much for that. I'm delighted to be here today, more than anything, to have the opportunity to listen to all these wonderful, wonderful stories that represent our community. But more than anything, I'm really, truly honored to be here to celebrate an icon, but also a very, very important and distinguished person, member of our Mexican and Mexican-American community, Sylvia Mendez. So it's really a great honor to meet you today. So I would like to thank everyone for this kind invitation. This is a deeply meaningful moment. This recognition as April 14, as Sylvia Mendez Day, not only pays tribute to an emblematic figure,
but also reaffirms the values of justice, equality, and dignity that we share as a society. The 1947 ruling not only brought an end to school segregation in California, but also reminds us of the transformative power of unity and community and determination. The role of Sylvia Mendez was, at its core, profoundly human. She was a child who wanted to learn, to belong, and to be treated equally. Her experience gave a face to an injustice that had been normalized for far too long. Over the years, her voice has become an educational and moral reference, inspiring new generations to learn about her story and to defend their rights. That is very important, even now more today. Recognizing April 14 as Sylvia Mendez Day is therefore an act of memory and pride. It is an acknowledgement that the progress achieved has been the result of collective effort and that preserving it requires our ongoing commitment. As Consul of Mexico in Santa Ana, I wish to underscore the importance of unity within our community. The story of the Mendez family teaches us that when we act together with purpose and conviction, we are capable of transforming realities. Indeed, our Mexican community changes realities every single day. They are great contributors to our communities, to our organizations, and to this great country. So let's just remember that, and let's always keep it in mind. Furthermore, our community abroad is resilient, hardworking, and deeply committed to the well-being of future generations. Honoring the legacy of Sylvia Mendez today means not only remembering her story, but also continuing her example, opening paths, building bridges, and defending with dignity the rights of all. Today, more than ever, we must remain steadfast, united, and proud of our roots, our culture, and our identity. May this recognition inspire us to continue building a more united community, more aware of its strength, and please count on the Consulate of Mexico to be there for you, because our community is not alone. La comunidad no está sola. We're here to support it, we're proud of them, and we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that, to empower it and make sure that they continue thriving. Thank you all so very much.
I think that's all we have. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah.
Can we do a couple group photos up front with Sylvia and the family and everybody? I think that would be awesome. But thanks so much for coming, and thanks for adapting to the